Hi everyone. Well, I'd now like to take this opportunity to introduce you to a fantastic singer, fantastic actress, and a really good friend of mine. I'm thrilled that she's agreed to be interviewed on Sing by Sight, and it is Misha Bryan. Hello, Misha. Welcome to Sing by Sight.
Oh, hi, Emer. Thanks for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Now, listen, Misha, let's cut straight to the business. What was your first experience? Because I know you're hugely experienced with music, acting, everything. But where did you start with your career?
Well, as most people say, I come from a very musical family, and not musical as in everybody played instruments, but just musical as in everybody in my household just adored music. There was I've got two older brothers. And I'd always be walking around singing with my headphones on the whole time. My brothers would be listening to MTV raps. My dad would be listening to reggae and cooking the Sunday chicken. And my mum would be ironing her uniforms and listening to UB40 or something upstairs. So music has always kind of been around, and loads of different genres as well have been around us. My parents are Jamaican, so I grew up listening to lots of reggae. But then my eldest brother is 10 years older than me. So he was listening to different types of music. He loved Madness and bands like Curiosity Killed the Cat, but then my dad loved a bit of Sting and my mum loved a bit of Joni Mitchell, and so there were loads of different genres getting thrown in all around the place. So I've always sung, but like any small child, I started off playing the recorder. I love my recorder.
Oh, it's so painful when we were children.
That's it. All kids play the recorder. So that was it. That was at junior school, or was it nursery school, or wherever it was where you learn the recorder. And then when I went to senior school, I started playing the trumpet.
Oh, wow.
I had a good embouchure, apparently, and I could get a sound out of the mouthpiece. And I was always in choirs. At my school, my senior school, it was very, very music oriented. It was very academic, but then they wanted us to do lots of different things all at the same time. They wanted us to be very well rounded. So sport was really important, and then music was massive. We had a chamber choir, we had a senior choir, we had a kind of little jazzy kind of choir going on as well. I was in the big band, the orchestra, we had a thing called the wee band, which was like a small orchestra. We had brass ensemble.
Wow.
There was just music everywhere in my life.
Oh, fab. And then, at what point did you decide you wanted to carry it on? And then what did you do? Because, I mean, it's Wolverhampton you're based, isn't it?
Yes, I'm in Wolverhampton. So I always knew that I wanted to sing, but I was very, very shy about it. Really shy. But my mum would always wheel me out to people's birthdays or weddings and stuff. Because I'd be 9, really nervous, singing at somebody's wedding, and then it was in a trumpet lesson when my teacher said to me, what do you want to do when you're older? And I was like, well, I want to be a singer, because he's probably tired of me going, okay, down my trumpet trying to play the major scale or something. He was like, what else do you want to do, Misha? Because this is going to work out. But so I said, I want to be a singer. And he said, sing something for me. And it took him about 10 minutes to coax me singing Amazing Grace just out of my mouth. And I sang that, and he was like, and completely freaked out. And then ran down the hallway to get the head of music and was like, we've got a singer. Then I had to sing it again for our head of music. And then then I was late for chemistry because I was just too busy singing songs in my trumpet lesson that overran. And then a week later, we had a soloist concert at my school, and I was in it, and I was like, I've gone from people not wanting the wider public to know that I'm a singer to me now being on stage in front of hundreds of people singing Get Here by Alita Adams.
Oh, gorgeous song as well.
Yeah, lovely. So that's when it started, and I was like, ooh, I quite like this. And I saw that people were enjoying the performance as well, and I thought, oh, actually, this is quite nice. It feels quite good to entertain people and give people a nice time, And so I thought, I think that's what I want to do.
Okay, and what was your next step then? Where did you go? Where did you study?
So, joy of joys. So I finished school and then I went to the National Youth Music Theatre, which was amazing. I met lots and lots of amazing people there who were so good, you know, because everyone's got to be like a triple threat in that thing. But for me, I was just really good at singing. And there were like amazing dancers and lots of people there. So we did the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which was amazing. And then I came to London to study music because there was nothing else that I was going to do. And I remember coming to the open day with my mum and watching the tutors perform and being like, I got to come here. This is it, mum. I want to come here. This is it now. And so it was literally like that. My mum was like, all right. It was literally like that in the performance. And I was like, sign up, get the audition. Come on, let me get in.
Don't care how much it costs.
I was so hyper about I was like so hyper about it. I was like, I need to come to Vocal Tech.
Isn't that
which is where I met you.
Yeah, I was there. I was one of the tutors. Yeah.
So yeah, it was so fantastic, and you taught me so much. And secretly, you're my favourite.
Oh, don't tell anyone. I'll get killed.
No, it's true. On the timetable, I'd be like, yes, we've got Emer. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Vocal Tech was so amazing for me because I sang when I was at home. I sang more than I spoke because people used to tease me quite a lot about my speaking voice. So I thought, oh, my singing makes people happy, so let's just sing a lot all the time, so they don't have to listen to me talk, which is ridiculous. But then through that, I got loads of stamina, and what I didn't realize was that I was doing all kinds of kind of technical exercises, like I was doing sirens and doing scalic things, and without really knowing it. And then when I came to Vocal Tech, I was like, oh, I've been doing that, and I didn't even know what that thing was called.
It kind of puts it all into context, actually, you know, gives you a bit of a background to what technique and what the exercises are all about. Yeah,
absolutely.
Actually, sorry, for those that don't know who are watching this, Vocal Tech is now called BIM. It's kind of morphed into an institute called BIM, part of the BIM academies. And it's where you go, well, in the old days anyway, students used to come to learn guitar, bass, drums and singing. And actually there was a keyboard section as well for a short while, wasn't there? And that kind of fizzled out. I'm not sure if it's come back alive again. But it was one of the first places in the country, really, wasn't it, that you could actually go and learn contemporary music.
Yes, and that was really important because I loved my languages at school as well. I did Italian and French at A level and got A's in both of those.
Wow.
And I really wanted to carry on with my languages, but I could only find music courses that were Italian and classical music. And I was like, oh, there was nowhere really. So I had to decide. I was like, oh, what do I really, really want to do? And I was like, it's definitely music, and music's got Italian in it.
yeah, mezzo forte and piano. yeah.
So I was like, I'm kind of doing it.
So you worked your way through Vocal Tech.
Yes.
And is Vocal Tech where you learned to sight sing, or were you already kind of aware of it because of your trumpet background and things like that, and recorder background?
Yeah, well, I could already read music, but I hadn't specifically sat down to do sight singing, you know, because they're so different. You know, if I could transpose on the trumpet at sight, you know, because we were really quite drilled when I was at school. But then when it came to sight singing, you kind of have to just, you know, find your note. And I was like, oh, I have to produce all of this thing myself. See, I hadn't specifically done sight singing, but because I'm a bit of a geek, I'm like, ooh, what's this thing? This will be useful. This will be handy for life. So let's get on with this thing. And there were people at Vocal Tech who were already just amazing at sight reading. We had a few people who had perfect pitch there as well, and they were just like, and I was like, that's fantastic.
That's unfair.
Yeah, a little bit. But you know what? We've all got our different strengths, haven't we? You know, like tonally, that I might have been better than someone else when someone else would be smoking me on the sight singing, you know, and the oral and transcribing. So it was quite nice to be around people who you could see like, oh, I've got strengths and you've got other strengths, and it's a nice little community.
Yeah.
But sight singing was such a great kind of education into, like, opening up your ears and understanding what's going on in a piece of music, being able to sing harmony, backing vocals and things like that. And lots of people would be like and be a bit scared of it. Was I scared? I don't think I was particularly scared of it, because I'm quite just get on with it. It's one of the modules that we've got to do. Let's just get on and do the thing. And I did quite enjoy it. And I don't mind not being good at something in the initial stages, because I know it will get better with practice. So
excellent, yeah. Now, your career, Misha, I know I'm racing through a little bit here, but your career has taken you to the theatre as well, some West End shows. You've been involved in some productions. So can you just, tell us a bit about the productions you've done, what it was like as well? Give everyone watching a little bit of inside info, behind the scenes info about, being involved in full-on West End productions. But also, did your sight singing help you? Was that part of, being involved, and did it help you basically being able to sight sing when you came to take on these roles?
Sight singing is so, it's so important, to make your life easier. Just going to put that out there as a sentence, because with every single musical theatre job I've ever done, you've been sent for the auditions from the get-go. You've been sent the sheet music, and back in the day, they never. Now they send you a little plinky plonk on the piano, to say, oh, this is the melody and these are the chords and whatever. But when I first started doing musical theatre, they just sent you the dots, and they'd say, learn these songs. And so then most people would have to then scoot off and then find a pianist to take it, go through it with them. Whereas because I could already read, I was like, and relax. You're just going to take a bit of time and just go through the chart. Oh, that's what it is. La, 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 la. So when I got to my audition, I was then able to think about character and performance, rather than thinking what note is coming next, because early doors, I already had the music down. And I would say the same goes for when you get the part. Got to be confident for when you get the part and you're in the first week of rehearsals, and you meet the rest of the cast and the director and the producers and whatever. Then you might read through the script, and then it's going to be first week note bashing through the whole score. And it's that thing of, I can once again just relax and ease back and be like, I know what this melody is doing. I recognize that shape. I understand where this is going. And it's kind of like, oh, that note might be a bit tricky for me. Let me see what the chord is doing. Oh, okay, I'm on the fifth or whatever it is. So
that awareness.
Yes. Yeah, it's really, really helped. And I've most shows that I've done, I've been in The Lion King. I played Shenzi on that. I played Dolores in Sister Act, which was huge, because Dolores is never off stage, never. it's mammoth, that part, and so it's that thing of, I've got to be off book, because she's meant to be funny as well. So I can't be funny and be thinking, what's my next note, because it reads to the audience. And so, yes, I can relax sooner. I can be off book sooner. I can be into character and get the piece on its feet sooner, because I can sight read.
And not only does that calm you down, I can imagine that makes you a much more interesting candidate when it comes to rehearsals, or when it comes to projects where time is limited, for example. If you're workshopping a piece of music, or workshopping a musical, people will think, well, Misha, she takes care of herself, so we will book Misha, as opposed to somebody you're having to hold their hand all the way through the project.
Yes, absolutely. It opens up more doors for you as well. Because I was in As You Like It at Regent's Park, and I discussed it with my agent beforehand. I was like, oh, it's a really small part, whatever. And he was like, it's Shakespeare, darling. I was like, okay. I was like, okay, fine. I don't have much to do, but I had a couple of songs to sing. And then as we got more into it, the MD kind of liked my tone, and the composer liked what I was thinking. It was Charlie Fink from Noah and the Whale who was the composer.
Oh, wow. Wonderful.
Which was really cool.
Yeah.
He wrote the most beautiful pieces as well. And because I could read, they were like, oh, your reading's quite good. Let's see if we can just compose another song for you. So Charlie would nip off like over the evening of rehearsals, and then he'd come back in with a song, and then he'd be like, I'll have a look through this, and I'd literally read it like straight off a couple of times, and they'd be like, okay, let's get it on its feet. And you're like, okay, that's brilliant. So my part has gone from being this small to being this big.
Darling, I will command this show.
But it was really good to being able to have a more to do, and also being mentioned in reviews, and then people, as you said, learned that you're reliable. So that same MD that I worked with on that, I worked with him again because he knows that I learn things quickly because I can read, and it just carries on and it carries on. It makes you useful. It makes you handy. It saves sometimes it saves people time and money. I did a session for a children's storybook, and the MD on it was a guy I'd worked with on a West End show called Ragtime, and he just rang me up. He was like, "Oh, Misha, you can read this, can't you?" And he goes, "Oh, we'll get the other people in." So there were 3 of us on the session. The other 2 girls had to go in and do 2 full days rehearsals. We were all getting paid for the rehearsals, but then because I wasn't needed, I learnt the music on my own in my flat, and then was able to go off and do a couple of private lessons.
Wow.
So I was getting double bubble.
Oh, wow. They paid you even though you didn't have to go to the rehearsals.
Yeah.
Rightly so. Yeah. Wow. And it is that thing. I mean, nobody will ever be turned down for a job because they can sight sing. But it's that thing of, if you can't sight sing, you know what, you might lose work. And I love the fact that actually you've managed to appreciate how sight singing has helped in your acting career as well. That idea of being able to get into character sooner because you're more comfortable looking at a piece of music. That's wonderful. That really is a great recommendation for learning how to sight sing. Even if you're not fantastic at it, just having a basic knowledge, I guess, is good,
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Even if you can just figure out what the rhythm is. And then, as our good friend Dave Cash likes to say, if you have to ear roll it afterwards, to figure out what the melody, what's happening with the melody. But if you've got rhythm and you can sit down in the groove and feel what's going on, you've kind of like won half the battle, really. Like I've said before, acting and singing are so intrinsically linked. There's so many times. How many times have I been on stage when I felt awful? I remember touring with Brian Ferry and I had a respiratory condition, and I was like that on the stage, And Brian was like, "If you're not well, then don't do the gig." I was like, "No, Brian, it's fine. So I'd be like on stage, and I'd be like, "I'm just gonna nip off," and be like, I'm like harking up in a corner, and then back on stage, like yeah.
The consummate actress, darling.
Always darling in the spotlight.
Oh no, it's fabulous. It's fabulous to hear this, because this is the reality. That the other side of the business is, how do you cope when you're ill? You get strategies, don't you? And I mean, obviously you've sorted your voice out, Misha. So you've got a strong instrument, and you're strong musically. You're strong performance-wise. So that gets you through the moments when something is not as quite as good as it should be. You just think, you know what? Ultimately, I've got a good technique. I know my parts. I'm a good musician. Yada yada. Good performer. I can do this. So yeah, that idea. That's another little look, actually. Nothing to do with sight singing, but how a singer copes when they're feeling absolutely awful. I've done that. I've been on stage absolutely in bits, but you can't. And the other thing is, when you want to sneeze on stage. Oh my word. And I'm one of these singers that over salivates. Lots of singers get a dry mouth when they're nervous, and other singers get over salivate. And sometimes I'm in the middle of a line and I think, I have to swallow. It's terrible, it's terrible. Or you're going to cough, you've got tears running down your face because you're trying to control your voice and not cough. It's really nice. That's quite a funny story, Misha. You must have been that must have been a bad infection, actually.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, but it's just one of those. Was one of those things. It took a bit of time to get over it, but it was fine. But just to touch on what you were saying before, the more prepared you can be, you know, the easier that your life will be. You know, I'm sure when you go into sight reading sessions, you know, for all the amazing films that you've done, you know, and all that stuff, you're thinking, I'm not going to have seen this piece of music before, but because I know all of my shapes and I know all of my, you know, rhythms and all of this stuff, you can go in and feel comfortable, you know. So the more prepared you can be, and whenever I'm doing a session for anybody, I'm like, okay, if they've sent me the music beforehand, I know the lyrics, I know the melody. Now I can get into colours. What kind of colours do they want me to add onto this? You know, and timbre, you know. So the more you come in with your baseline, and when you come to performance as well, it's like, wear something that you're going to be comfortable in. Don't wear your like showbiz bra and pants and then be fidgeting the whole time, you know. That's distracting. So it's just... preparedness will just help you feel more at ease. Everything will just relax down and you'll be able to give your best performance.
Listen, that is a totally other conversation topic, and I'll have to interview you again about that, Misha. You know, just how to approach performances, you know, that really is quite important. But listen, thank you so much for speaking to us today. This is a fantastic insight. Honestly, you're a superb musician, fantastic singer, and most importantly, you're a lovely person. Thank you so much, Misha Bryan. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Eva. Bye.